Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Sharita Singleton, and I am the VP Education of Silver Tongues Toastmasters Club and the District 38D40 Area Director. On behalf of Silver Tongues Toastmasters Club, I am thrilled to welcome you to this three-part educational evaluation series, The Gift of an Evaluation. Alongside me this evening is Victoria Goins, member of Silver Tongues Toastmasters Club, VP membership, who will have the honors of introducing our esteemed presenter for this evening. Evaluations is the heart of Toastmasters. It's how we grow, refine our skills, and uplift each other's as speakers. Throughout this series, we'll explore the art of delivering a meaningful and constructive feedback that inspires improvement. Whether you're a seasoned evaluator or just starting out, this workshop will provide valuable insights to enhance your skills. I now would like to ask Victoria to unmute herself and introduce our esteemed presenter this evening.
Good evening, everyone. I feel like I'm in trouble because only my mother called me Victoria. Y'all are welcome to call me Vicky. I'm so happy to be here this evening and very excited for this opportunity for us to give each other the gift of an evaluation. I would like to introduce our facilitator, Miss Rhonda L. Young, MBA DTM. Many of us already know Rhonda, but Rhonda is an IT consultant for a digital transformation company focusing on clients undergoing a merger or acquisition. She holds an MBA in strategic management and BBA in accounting, both from Temple University, Philadelphia, PA. Go Birds. Rhonda is a distinguished Toastmaster and is pursuing another DT award under the Pathways program. She is the immediate past District 38 director. Rhonda has been a Toastmasters Gavel Club mentor at a New Jersey juvenile mentor for the National Black MBA Association, Philadelphia's Leaders of Tomorrow, and mentor to Toastmasters and clubs. Rhonda is passionate about leading, mentoring, and enabling others. Welcome, please, Rhonda Young.
Thank you so much, Sharita and Vicky. I am thrilled. This is the highlight of my day. Yes, to be in the company of Toastmasters. And I just want to share from my perspective some of these ideas and concepts. Hopefully you agree with and align with your way of thinking, but I welcome you to stop me anytime throughout the presentation or put in chat if there's something that you wish I should have added to the presentation. I will give you attribution. I don't steal. I will reference you as a person who helped to enhance the presentation. Again, this is just a subset of a broader context around evaluations. So I'll start, and I do want participation here. How many of you have received an evaluation where you poured over this speech, you've practiced, you've tried to perfect it, and your evaluation fell a little flat? It left you not understanding what you did well, or, and especially, where you can improve. Am I the only one? Most of us. Thanks, Paula, for raising your digital hand. And as an evaluator, how have you felt that you've been able to help other people? Did you give them constructive feedback? Did you give them examples? Have you seen progress over your times at evaluating others? Anyone else? Okay, so there are fewer hands, which means we all have an opportunity to become better, more effective evaluators because it truly is a gift. And I'll share my presentation. I'll make the slides available if anyone should want to see the slides personally in your inbox. We can do that. Let's get into it. I want to thank the Silver Tongues Toastmasters Club, specifically Sharita and Vicki, and of course, Lisa, your president, for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you all today. I know you don't give your platform willy-nilly to just anyone, so thank you very much. Series. In session 1, let's talk about the benefits of an evaluation. We'll also look at the anatomy of a speech. And once again, there may be some enhancements to my presentation. I pretty much source the information from my own experience in doing some research and pulling in some nuggets of wisdom to share with you today. So they're not written in stone. I am willing to make them dynamic and updated. I'm of the persuasion that in order for us to be effective evaluators, we first must understand what to look for. So some of this information, when we talk about anatomy of a speech, is foundational. If you've been in Toastmasters for a long time and you worked under the previous education curriculum, some of this information may be familiar to you in the Competent Communicator Manual, which, in my opinion, were the foundational building blocks of communication, presentation, and this same information buried a little bit, and it's not as emphasized or highlighted or spotlighted in ways that you can truly focus on specific skills for each speech. Session 2 will focus on different approaches to evaluations, and there's, I'm sure, an exhaustive list of how you could go about developing a framework for your evaluation, but I'll just share a few with you, and that should get you started. Session 3 will focus on delivering the evaluation because, believe it or not, an evaluation is a speech. It is not just a singular report on how well someone did. It is a speech. It should be dynamic. It should conform to the basic framework of a speech, and we'll talk about that later. Are there any questions before we continue to dive into this topic? And I'll ask Sharita and Vicki, if there's any questions, any hands raised, please just stop me along the way. So for today, our session 1 agenda includes the benefit of evaluations. We'll have a model speech. We'll have group feedback. And when we give feedback at Toastmasters, we should give it in a positive, constructive, and may I add, loving manner. We at no time should discourage a speaker from ever getting up to speak again or feeling so condescended or feel badly about their performance, because we're all here to learn and to grow together. Much of our time will be focused on the anatomy of an effective speech, as I mentioned, and depending on where we are in time, I may have to rocket through some of that, which is why I am very willing to share these slides. We'll summarize and close before we adjourn. So once again, this session should be interactive, so feel free to come off mute if I ask a question or if you have a question for me. Who benefits from evaluations? Now, I know this is probably teed up on our flyer, and we've talked about it a bit, but just to get you warmed up to being interactive, I'm willing to hear your perspective. Who benefits from evaluations?
Everyone that listens.
Everyone that listens. John, did you see my slides?
No, I did not.
You're a good segue. Good straight man. Thank you. Anyone else? Well, John, thanks for playing along with me. So, first of all, I'm surprised no one called out the speaker. John was all inclusive to say everyone, but specifically, how does the speaker benefit from an evaluation? Number one, it helps them to build confidence. I don't know about you, but when someone speaks in praise of me, whether it's something very minute or something very gargantuan, complex, sizable, I'm all in. If you give me a compliment, that makes me want to do things more. There's a adage that I used to say, behavior rewarded is behavior repeated. That goes for when we're adults also. Evaluations also helps you to discover as a speaker strengths. Believe it or not, there are some things that people do unknowingly, unwittingly. For example, many of you know I love the role of grammarian. And when I point out that a speaker, used a triad or alliteration or a metaphor, they're like, did I? When did I do that? And I have to give them the example because oftentimes we use these devices without being conscious of it. Wouldn't it be nice to share these advanced techniques with the speaker so that they will continue to use those grammatical devices, body language, or whatever the case may be in an effective manner and purposefully? It also helps the speaker chart their progress or measure their progress to their goals, whether it's this one speech or it's been a series of speeches in their path. They may get to see or hear that they're using less filler words or they're giving more eye contact, and that's only through evaluations over time. Evaluations help the speaker to uncover blind spots. There are behaviors that we all have that we're not aware of, or even those that we are, that may be a distraction to your audience. I won't give an example, but you've seen some people that do things repeatedly that you're thinking, man, if he or she just stopped doing that, I could hear them better, or I can receive the information from them more clearly. And then finally, the speaker will help to understand and learn their communication style from feedback. And it's not from a single person, but it's the cumulative impact of evaluations over the course or over the series of giving speeches. For the evaluator, of course, there's a benefit to you. We all go to the first one, and it helps us to improve our listening skills, absolutely. But much more than that, it helps you to provide positive, helpful, and especially actionable feedback. So you as the evaluator should not just give pat examples without backing it up with, pat feedback without giving the examples. You can say, for example, you can consider doing X, Y, or Z. And that makes it more tangible, more relevant, and more clear to the speaker. For the evaluator, this is a great exercise, a fantastic exercise in quick thinking, quick listening, quick organizing, and impromptu speaking. Yes, you have just a little bit of an opportunity to prepare, but going to the presentation, you generally would not have heard the person. So this is an exercise to sharpen your skills as well. And this will also help you in your own speech writing. Maybe you won't pour over topics or text as much as you would experience an evaluator. Finally, this is the camaraderie we built in Toastmasters. You have the opportunity to influence, impact, and help support your fellow members. And as John mentioned, everyone that hears the evaluation benefits. As the audience members, you probably didn't consider the benefit of an evaluation or the speaker evaluation experience, but you as an audience member gets to observe useful techniques and communication styles. You can see what works maybe what doesn't work. You also get to provide real-time feedback, and I am guilty of this because I don't have a poker face. So my expressions are very, very tangible. If I don't understand something, I'll look very quizzically. If I can't hear you, I'll lean in. And if you cause me to emote, whether it's joy or sadness, it will be all over my face. So this allows the audience members to give real-time feedback to the speaker using their body, their facial expressions, etc. Or maybe if it's humor and you're clapping, that also gives them encouragement as well. And because you heard the same speech as the evaluator, you get to see how people or individuals receive information differently. Sometimes we wholeheartedly agree with an evaluator, and believe me, there are times when I flat out disagree with an evaluator. In those cases, I will speak offline to the speaker and say, for the record, I didn't think this was so bad for me. So just understand, we all receive and process information differently. So just be aware of that. I tell people all of the time, evaluations are very, very subjective in many cases. So you have to take it like you're making spaghetti, throw it against the wall, see what sticks, see what resonates with you without you conforming to someone else's preference, but still staying true to yourself. Are there any questions, comments, additions, subtractions? John, I see your hand go up.
Yeah, I put something in the chat as well, but I think that one of the things that's been very transformative for me as an evaluator is getting in touch with my own feelings and why I respond to a speaker or to whatever they've said or the way they've said it, why it's made me feel a certain way, and then being able to share those feelings and sort of bearing my soul, if you will. And what it's done is it's helped me that with communicating with my spouse, with people that are close to, because now I'm being more introspective about it. I'm thinking about, well, why did it make me feel that way? And I start thinking about that and then responding from that position. And I think that's very helpful for the speaker too, to know, I mean, because at the end of the day, your feelings aren't wrong. Your feelings are your feelings. And if they want to know how it is that they've come across, how else would they know unless you share how you felt about it?
Agreed. Thanks, John. That's a fantastic point. Thank you so much. We'll keep moving forward. And once again, know that the slides, the information may not be all inclusive. They're just here to help prick your consciousness, to reinforce some things that you already knew, and maybe hopefully you'll discover something new through this discussion and workshop series. At the center, at the core, at the intersection of all three of these experiences is growth. That means growth for everyone. You get to grow, and you get to grow, and you get to grow. Yes, call me Oprah of Toastmasters right now. So just keep that in mind, that that is at the forefront and the center of all that we should do, is to help ourselves and one another grow. At this time, I am pleased to announce and present to you our model speaker for this evening, Bob Rosenberg, very good person, member of Silver Tongue Toastmasters. Bob will be speaking from Path Engaging Humor, Level 1, an icebreaker. Bob's speech title is About Me. So once we hear from Bob, we will have an opportunity for 5 or 7 minutes or 8 minutes or so to highlight the things that Bob did exceptionally well and that were effectively delivered, as well as maybe areas of focus for development. And once again, I can't emphasize that we should always keep our feedback positive, constructive, and actionable. With that, Bob, about me, Bob Rosenberg.
Thank you, Rhonda. And I don't know who's keeping time. Oh, that's funny. My wife just texted me it's dinner time. Well, guess what, honey? You're gonna have to wait.
I can be the timer if you'd like.
All right, and quite honestly, I have no idea how I'm gonna squeeze what I'm gonna squeeze in, but let's get started. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, I lost my mustache from that photo, but this is one of the boxes of Toastmasters memories. And I pulled out what I thought I could pull out to share in a brief period of time. And I won't take you through the entire box, but I'll take you through some of the highlights, at least some of the highlights that are important to Bob. And yes, Bob did have a mustache for most of his life. He didn't have it before he got married, but he had it all the way till about a year ago and decided, well, got plenty of white hair now, no need to look like an old guy. You're already old enough, you don't have to look any older. Let's put it that way. My Toastmasters experience began, as Rhonda had mentioned, in the old communicator model. I had earned a CTM. Now, my first go at an icebreaker was way back in 1988. What is that, April 21st of 88. And it was a really kind guy by the name of Tom that evaluated me. And he took Rhonda to heart. I don't know if you can read what he said, but I will share with you. He says, all in all, very enjoyable. You've got a very bright future in Toastmasters. I look forward to future speeches. That felt good to me. Well, guess what, guys? That was April. It took me, let's see, my second speech, October 20th of 88. So it took me a little bit of time to get the courage back up from that first speech to make the time to do a second speech. Well, that was the beginning of my Toastmasters career. Unfortunately, a little girl named Cheryl got in the picture in 1989. She was born, and we had a little dog, and life got put on hold with Toastmasters. And then we had a second girl, and I did the math on this. It wasn't until 2002 that I got involved again. I found the club locally. We had moved to Burlington Township. And I discovered, wow, there's a club in town. I should check it out. And I checked it out October 4th of 2001. It took a little bit of time, and as we all have, New Year's resolutions kick in. It was January 3rd, 2002. It was my first official meeting where I said, you know what, I'm going to get serious about this. And by the way, got engaged in a really good conversation with the club president. And she did a really good job on selling me on the benefits of Toastmasters. Not that I needed that. The Princeton Club did an excellent job selling me. But again, I had 2 young children and life was in the way, and we just had to get on with it. Needless to say, April Fool's 2002, I became a Toastmaster with Silver Tongue's Toastmasters Club. And the joke's still on them. They still don't know how to get rid of me. I don't know how many years later I'm still showing up and getting in the way and making a mess of things. But that's just me. What was it, 2004, February, I had earned my Competent Toastmaster Award. I don't know if any of you have been around Toastmasters long enough to remember these heavy, hideous things compared to what we have today. But through the years, I managed to hang in there through encouragement from the club. I didn't know that there was life beyond the club. It was 2019 where for the third time I was doing my leadership, the Competent Leadership Award, and doing my Competent Communicator for the second time. I think it was Barb Johns, one of our long-term club members, that said, hey, you know, Bob, do you realize how close you are to getting your Distinguished Toastmaster Award? And I was clueless. I had no idea. But then again, we had several club members that had stepped up and had done it. And I said, okay, what do I have to do? And they told me what I had to do. And I said, well, yeah, I guess I am pretty close. I better get serious about it. And they encouraged me, and I stepped up and I did all the projects, all of the leadership. And time is running out on me. But if you want to ask me what are some highlights, well, it only took me 20 years to get to a district conference. I was a first timer in 2002. So there is hope for you. Not only can you get effective communication and feedback by showing up and encouragement to keep on moving on and doing things, but if you put the time and effort in, and if you have a club full of people that are encouraging you, you too can get a Distinguished Toastmaster Award. I had no idea I was so close to doing this until they pushed me into it. And currently, I'm on my second go around like Rhonda. I'm working on my Pathways Distinguished Toastmasters Award. At this point, all I have left to do is either sponsor a club, do a speech craft, or a youth leadership program. And if I do that, I'll have the honor of being a Distinguished Toastmaster the second time around. I think I just hit 6 minutes on the head, so I'm going to wrap up there. And thanks for listening.
Thank you, Bob. Now segue back to my presentation. And let's talk about, where did Bob excel? And again, Vicki, would you please give us 6 minutes? Let's see if we can get through this in 6 minutes. So people talk fast and give some feedback to Bob. Anyone? Where did Bob excel?
Yeah, gives a little bit of feedback. I really liked his sense of humor and his ease and his story craft, because I got a really good sense of what he was talking about. It was easy to follow along. I saw myself smiling a couple of times when he mentioned a couple of things. So his speech was very engaging and positive and uplifting. So I really liked that.
Thank you, Jill. Joyce?
I loved it. He did chronological organization, starting from the very beginning and moving forward through various steps in his journey of becoming a distinguished Toastmaster the first time and progress for a second one. His use of props was wonderful. Even if we couldn't read some of the stuff that he put up to the screen, he read it for us. So we knew what it said, even if we couldn't quite make it out ourselves. But I would say the use of props in chronological organization were excellent.
Thank you, Joyce. Elaine?
Joyce pretty much stated what I was going to state, but Bob was very funny. He was very comfortable in front of the screen, made me comfortable. I was actually eating peanuts as if it was popcorn. I was being entertained. I love the chronological order also. He talked about the then and the now. It was really not too much. When the next slide says, where can Bob improve? There really wasn't too much to improve on. I just loved that presentation.
Awesome. Thanks, Elaine.
Thanks for the encouragement.
Thank you. Anyone else? Where can Bob improve?
I'm
Stacy?
Evelyn, and I love the presentation. I felt like he had reached into my little box of fears and pulled an example and a reason why I should continue. I also started in about 1988, 87, I think my year was 87, and didn't get back into it until years later. And I do not have a DTM, but I am working on my pathways, and I found out that I'm not alone. It feels really good. It was very clear speaking, eye contact. He reached into the camera, which made me feel like he was talking directly to me. I knew that there were other people there, but his message was so close to what I needed to hear. I felt that he was reaching out to speak with me. Good job.
Thanks, Evelyn. Did I see Stacy's hand?
You did.
Okay,
I thought
Stacey.
he did an excellent job, as did everybody else. No use of filler words, which was excellent. The only suggestion I would have for Bob is having some of the props ready, because during the presentation, he did have his back to the camera or out of the camera a few times. And I think that would have been the cherry on top to have that a little bit more in line.
John, thank you.
Yes, I'm going to echo pretty much what everybody else said. Although the other thing that struck me is that he knew his audience. He knew he was talking to Toastmasters. He brought out that Paula apparently has been part of his history and so forth, and how she encouraged him. And and then he was talking about the Princeton Toastmasters, and so basically what he did is he brought us all in a little closer, because we know these people, or we're aware of these clubs and so forth. So I think that beyond everything that everybody else has said, I think he really played it to the audience well, and he knew his audience. The one thing I would have liked to have seen as far as improvements, I always liked the concept of tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And I would have liked to see, a stronger opening rather than sort of meandering into it, and then get into the body, give the examples and so forth. And then what I have noticed over the years is when somebody doesn't have a strong opening, there's no place for them to go at the end. So it makes it very difficult to have that, really nail them with the conclusion part. And I felt that what Bob ended up doing at the end was that he just sort of drifted off. Oh, well, my time's up, so I guess I'll drop off. And I really like it. So, tell us what you're going to tell us, and then tell us what you told us, so that, boom, it's done. We know it.
Yep. And John, that's actually session 2, where we talk about approaches to evaluations, right? Because then we also have that lens of the strong opening, strong conclusion, what I call the bookends. And then you get to talk about the things in the middle. So thanks for kind of teeing that up. I'm telling you, we should take this on the road, because you're all in my presentation today. Thank you very much. Let's move forward.
Can I just say one thing, Rhonda, if you
please,
don't mind?
Vicki, please.
I just want to say, and we'll be at your 6 minutes right there.
Mhm.
Bob, I would ask as an improvement to tell the audience what your acronyms are as soon as you use them, because for those of us that haven't been around in Toastmasters for a long time, may not know what a DTM or a CTM or those things are. But then I'm going to hop back to where you excelled, because later in your presentation, you did explain those.
Thank you, Vicki. Bob, I can't thank you enough for helping us along the way and for taking the feedback, and hopefully someone's giving you a formal evaluation. If not, I've taken notes so that I can do so. So anyone that participates as a model speaker will get credit toward a project. So I'm hoping that this experience was good for you, and I hope that this kind of serves as your Pathways pre-project assessment at the conclusion of this 3-part series, or wherever you dip in and out of, that you pick up some nuggets along the way to enhance yourself. So if you were to do a post workshop series assessment, you can see some growth and progress in your skills as an evaluator. So what to look for when you are evaluating? Let's dissect the anatomy of a speech. Again, interactive portion here. What are the types of communication? And I'll just say it's bifurcated, so that should give you a clue. Anyone?
Verbal and nonverbal?
Yes, thank you. We had the nonverbal, and that includes the facial expressions, hand gestures, anything that doesn't use language, believe it or not, is nonverbal. So through this picture, what is this young lady conveying? What does this picture say to you?
Love.
Love.
I love
Cynthia,
you.
how do you know that?
Looking at the shape of that she made a heart shape with her hands,
Mhm.
and that represents love.
Okay. Anything else? How else does this photo speak to you? Or anyone else?
She's happy.
Happy, exactly. And
Very-
how pray tell can we determine that?
The smile and the expression on her face
Yes.
in a good place.
Yes. And I also think that because her head is tilted to the side, that's more, she's being very affiliative. Right?
Yes,
She's
like
not just
in a
looking
good place.
straight deadpan on in a
Yeah.
stern and authoritative manner. It's open, welcoming. Absolutely. And then nonverbal, but I also split nonverbal to spoken words and vocal. Vocal meaning the way you modulate your voice. For spoken words, this could be your word choice, using slang, industry terms, regional jargon, filler words, believe it or not, and your ability to enunciate. For vocal, I have volume, tone, rate, pitch, the rhythm of your speech. So I wanted to point that out because as an evaluator, this may not be on the evaluation guides, and let's all face it and agree. Those evaluation guides seem to be consistent project to project. There's not a lot of variation in those except for the absolute intent of the project itself. So it becomes incumbent upon you as the evaluator, when you notice things, style of communication, verbal and nonverbal, that you give feedback where it's due. So if someone's doing something very well, like the strong eye contact that was mentioned to Bob, or the humor, or the use of props, please speak on that. That may not be on your sheet, but you as the evaluator, whether you give it in the oral evaluation or the written evaluation, I'm sure the speaker would be delighted to know where they excelled in some of these foundational aspects of communication. Speech structure, and this holds true for planned and impromptu. I know all of our Toastmasters, especially long timers, know the basic structure of a speech. Come on, you guys are making me work. Time is of the essence. Anyone?
The
Introduction,
Yes.
opening, body,
open,
conclusion.
Thank you. So the opening, body, and conclusion. So for the opening, and we heard this with Bob's speech and specifically with John giving him some feedback on the opening and conclusion. These are the bookends. These are the introduction of yourself as the speaker, and this is the lasting impression that you make. It is incumbent upon a speaker to start strong, to get the audience on the hook, to whet our appetite to learn more, to want to know more, to listen attentively. So how do they do that? With a quote, question, statistic, statement, poem, song? There's virtually a myriad ways of beginning a speech, but there should be a definite opening. And it's not the parochial, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. That is acceptable for our newbies, our neophyte members. But as you mature in the matriculation of your Toastmasters tenure, I would challenge that person to be more dynamic in their opening. John?
Yeah, the the one metaphor that I heard that I think really resonated with me is that when we're doing a 5 to 7 minute speech, or even like an 8 to 10 minute speech, it's a sprint, not a marathon.
Yeah.
And I believe Toastmasters recommends that the opening be 10 to 15% of the time that you spend in the whole speech, and likewise on the conclusion. So, the point is you really want to lay out what it is that you're going to be talking about and get it come out of the gates explode out of the gate, really get into it, because certainly for me, that's what's going to draw me in.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I can just go backwards for just 1 minute on the delivery portion.
1 minute or less.
No. The one thing that you didn't touch on that I think is important is the use of the speaking area in the nonverbal communication, that you move, plant, and that you aren't pacing and just sort of wandering around, that your movement on the speaking area on the platform is purposeful. And
It's
you're
coming
using
up.
in order to connect with individual members of the audience.
It's coming up, John.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. I'm telling you, you're a good straight man. Thank you. And I'm going to go fast because I know that it's already 7:15 and time flies when you're having fun. My goodness. And I have a lot more information to share with you. So we'll see how much we can get through. So for the body of the speech, and remember, the lens, this is not a workshop in creating and crafting your speech. This is pricking your consciousness to the things that you should be aware of as the evaluator. Did you hear that dynamic opening? Did the person have a definite conclusion? And in the body of the speech, did you hear up to 3 main points that they were able to qualify, describe, tell a story about? Or did they just use storytelling for the entire speech? And that's okay. We've heard Bob give lots of vignettes from his life in the form of storytelling. Did the person just hit a top 3 list, top 5 list, top 10 list, which is absolutely okay when the list components are simple and intuitive. Top 10 songs 2022. But if it's something that has to be explained, qualified, and much more detail, you may want to limit that to no more than 3. Are you describing a process or a method that's being the foundation or these are things just to prick your consciousness that you can call out and notate to the speaker, I heard it, I understood your preparation, and this is how I received your delivery. And finally, the conclusion, as John also mentioned, should be tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them again. So there's a repetition, there's a station that can be used. Not the only way, but that's a way to conclude. It could be a callback, and I love callbacks to openings or callbacks to speech titles. That just shows the full circle moment for me. You can definitively state your point of view, give or issue a call to action, which is the adoption of a new way of thinking, being, behaving. And finally, you can influence or inspire your audience. Some speech elements, in addition to what we already covered, will include, and this is where I'll try to rocket through this because I do want to leave maybe 5 minutes or so for questions. The title. Sometimes you have me at hello. When I see a speech title that already elicits my interest, I really want to hear. Cynthia gave a fantastic presentation on tennis. And although I don't play tennis, I certainly was excited to hear her perspective. So when I saw the title, I immediately perked up. That gives you the topic awareness, it elicits interest. And I love when topics or titles are double entendres. What does that mean? Well, it's a double meaning. So if someone talked about a pool of something, it could be either a pool, physically a pool, or a collection of things. I love when it takes me into a different direction because it becomes a surprise, it becomes unexpected, and that automatically makes me lean in and want to listen more because I thought it was going down a different path. the purpose of the speech. And this, as the evaluator, this is something that you may want to get in advance of the actual speech from the speaker. Understand, what are they trying to accomplish? Is it to inform, to educate, entertain, inspire, advocate, motivate? There's different purposes for speeches, and the purpose could be flexible, and it's not acutely tied to the project itself. It's just about how they're choosing to complete the project, how they're choosing to use the purpose of the speech. Research and references. If people give facts and figures, statistics, quotes, song stanzas, poem stanzas, you want them to cite their sources, so that they're not accused of plagiarism. So this is incredibly important, and especially as we're in the midst of contest season, one of the elements that someone could be disqualified and protested on is originality. If you have too many sources, and if it's heavily weighted to someone else's original thought versus your own. But when it's not your original thought and you have a source that you can cite, why not cite it? If you're telling us about a book, give us the title and the author. Maybe we'll be inclined to go and pick it up. We've seen that absolutely clear with the Eagles player who was reading on the sidelines, Inner Excellence. The book is a bestseller now, just because the title and the author was made known. You all know my favorite role is grammarian. So use grammatical devices that add spice, interest. It adds zhuzh to your presentation. It's like talking in 4K with technicolor terms. Use triads, alliteration, similes. Use active words. Don't use passive tense all the time, but make your audience members' experiences come to life. Remember, we are voyeurs to your world. So you're taking us on the trip. You're narrating and navigating this experience for us. So we have to rely on the words you use, how you pose those words, and the devices that you use. It takes me to word choice, so I've covered that. Vocal variety, and I think we've heard Bob use some vocal variety during today, but when you can audibly express emotions and support the words that you're saying, you can't smile and say, I'm so sad today, or I was sad. No, that's incongruent. So make sure that your body language, your vocal variety aligns with the words that you're saying. You also can add persona, which means if you're, and Bob did this when his evaluator, when he was reading the evaluation, he altered the modulation of his voice so that we know that that wasn't Bob speaking, but it was someone else. That's also a useful technique to be mindful of, call out as something that someone did very well, or maybe give them the suggestion to modulate their voice to assimilate a different person that's speaking. Movement, gestures, eye contact. And as was stated earlier, you need to be able to use the speaking area when you're in person. It's a little more difficult online, but Bob showed that it can be done. He stood, he moved around a bit, and that's a-okay. Especially in person, you don't want to just plant yourself like a tree that shall not be moved. You need to move and connect with your audience just by closing the space between you. Not to be a close talker, but just get a little closer from one side, maybe left, go center, right, go center, and avoid pacing if you can, or weight shifting, because that can be distracting. But you can also use the speaking area for time sequencing. So we read from left to right. So start at the left, move your way to the right, just to denote periods of time or the movement of time. If you're giving a demonstration, you want to have a little bit more movement if you can. Visual aids. Again, Bob was a fantastic model speaker because he had a plethora of visual aids that helped to support his presentation. They help to convey interest. They give visual support for what he's describing. They are not a suitable replacement for the words, but they are there to visually punctuate the words that you're using. And humor, we certainly heard some humor from Bob, even if it was self-deprecating at times. But that allows us all to smile, to have a shared experience, to add levity and lightheartedness to presentations. And that's also a way to engage the audience through humor. Okay, 5 minutes left. Here are the takeaways. Remember that your evaluation is a gift to the speaker, to yourself as the evaluator, and to the audience that are within earshot. You should consider the speaker's verbal and nonverbal communication styles when you're evaluating. That does not appear generally on the evaluation unless that's the skill that's being exercised. Ask yourself, was the speech organized? Did it have a definite opening body conclusion? Was the speaker audible? Did they speak loudly enough that you didn't have to strain? Did he speak or she speak in a moderate pace? Do you need to tell that person slow down or maybe speed up sometimes when you're talking about something that you're very passionate or excited about? Were the gestures enhancements to the presentation, or were they distractions? Were they too erratic and too plentiful, or were they moderate and modest? What was the purpose of the speech? And was the purpose accomplished in the speech or during the speech? And finally, on my list of takeaways, where can the speaker improve? Cite concrete examples. I will stop there and not subject you to me being a DTM, which means don't time me. And I think I came in good time. Are there any additional questions, any comments that we didn't cover earlier? Okay, hearing none, next session, next week, we'll focus on approaches to evaluation. So whether you use the sandwich method, the what I heard, what I saw, what I felt method, what I call my 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5 C's, right? On the character, the content, conclusion, or the construct. So we'll share some of those things with you all next week. We'll also have another model speaker. If you're willing to be a model speaker, let us know. Charity starts at home, so you're our inaugural audience. So we'd love to have you get credit for a speech, as well as receive the round robin or the group evaluation, which may add more information to your toolbox where you can improve and how you're doing well. With that, I will stop and turn the meeting over, the workshop over to either Vicki or Sharita to close us out.
Right, thank you, Rhonda, for this wonderful presentation you put together. Everyone, please unmute yourself. Give Rhonda a round of applause for taking us to the next level.
Good job.
Very good, very good.
Good job. Thank you.
Nicely
Yes.
done.
Yes.
I like your nonverbal communication, Rhonda.
That works too.
Yes. Well, once again, thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Vicki, for all your help. And thank you for all the participants here tonight. And for those of you who showed up to improve your evaluations, which means if you have an upcoming meeting, it will be a time to apply these skills that we was just what's the word can I use that we would just digest it? We should take this all in. What's a powerful word, Rhonda? But
That we just digest. And just a reminder that our second session would be on February the 19th at 6:30. We look forward to seeing everyone back, and we look forward to you sharing your feedback from your evaluation you have given within the next couple of days.
Once again, thank you, and everyone enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank
You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for
Good
coming.
night.